Well, the Trump administration and the White House were consulted by the Israelis on their attacks in Gaza tonight. And as President Trump has made it clear, Hamas, the Houthis, Iran, all those who seek to terrorize not just Israel, but also the United States of America will see a price to pay. All hell will break loose. And all of the terrorists in the Middle East, again, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian-backed terror proxies, and Iran themselves should take President Trump very seriously when he says he is not afraid to stand for law-abiding people. He is not afraid to stand up for the United States.
I'm going to stop it there. Let's just make this very clearly. If America fights a war with Iran, it is not standing up for Americans. It is fighting Israel's battle for Israel.
And, 100%. It is extremely dangerous rhetoric. It has nothing to do with our interests or cares or future as Americans, right? Iran poses zero threat to us. We, as a country, as a nation, pose a significant threat to Iran because they want to topple the government, because they want to have access to their resources, because Israel doesn't want there to be another state in the region who is saying, hey, don't kill as many children, right? Now, I also wanted to add that when it comes to Trump and Israel, it is just abundantly clear here that this is somebody who has all of the capacity to tell Israel what to do, as we saw with that ceasefire. Like, they got a little tough with them, they had to act. Has the capacity to make them do certain things, but instead chooses to do what they do, right? So allowing them to break off on the ceasefire, killing, 400 people, I think was the most recent count that I saw. I'm sure higher. Not to mention, literally the thousands and thousands that they've killed since the beginning of their mass slaughter of people in Gaza. You look at what's going on with freedom of speech in this country. We're literally on the marching orders of far-right foreign organizations. Donald Trump is attacking people residing with green cards in the United States. We saw this other attack on another university official. I can't imagine that they're going to stop there. And the fact of the matter is that's because Donald Trump chooses to follow the orders of this menacing, genocidal, reactionary, I don't even want to call them a country at this point, right? Literally just a death organization that is the state of Israel.
And it's, one thing that's useful for is it shuts up a lot of the never Trump type conservatives that do annoy Trump, even though they're sort of politically feeble. But you shut them up because they all support this stuff.
This is more important to them than anything. And I think people really need to wrap their heads around this. This is more important to these politicians, both on the Democratic side and on the Republican side. More important than anything is the support of Israel. That's why, when John Fetterman had his stroke, right? He just reverted to factory settings. And he's like, what's the one thing I can remember? Oh, I have to be a psychopath about Israel, right?
Yeah. That's like if in politics, if you're a politician with the Memento style amnesia,
you're just like, oh shit.
The first thing you do is write don't get on the wrong side of Israel on your chest.
It is truly monstrous. This is something that has always been a kind of key to not just American politics, but global politics. And, the one thing I tweeted something about this, just the other day. I just wanted to note, what we are seeing right now with these attacks on our own freedom of speech in this country is the realization, right? The appearance
chickens coming home to roost
of a fundamental fact, right? A fundamental fact that Zionism is such an aberration. It is so disgusting. It is so antithetical to any kind of conception of democracy, of human rights, of even a better and more prosperous future, which is why it has always had to rely, one, obviously, on extreme violence in Palestine, right? Killing people, removing them from their land, even doing shit like bulldozing over olive trees. And in this country, because it is such a wicked cancer on the souls, on the heart, on the minds, and on our country, it has had to play this disgusting role in our politics by funding all kinds of politicians, both on the Democratic and the Republican side, to not just, by the way, support Israel, but to make sure that certain kind of groups don't get into power, right? Why does Israel focus so much on like attacking progressives, right? We've seen how a lot of progressives are on Israel, right? Look, there's some who are better than others, but not a great batting average, frankly, right? But that is such a threat that if things got maybe a little bit better in America, right? If the horror show slowed down a little bit of like the poverty, the punishment that people face on a daily basis, they might start asking, hey, why are we supporting this genocidal regime in Israel? And now you're literally seeing it because it has been weakened, because more and more Americans are learning and understanding the negative role that Israel plays on global politics and in our own politics. Now they are literally attempting to silence people because it is such a threat. And you could look at that two ways, right? One, horror, fear, right? I'm worried about it too. I'm sure everybody watching this kind of thing is. But also maybe a little bit of hope that they're lashing out like this because they are feeling their weakness, right? Because more and more people are saying no. And it's going to take a lot more for people to accept what's happening than it has in the past.
Yeah. All of this stuff hasn't been built up for them to just say, oh, well, the polls say we're losing people. It's time to give it up. We've got to get to a Kowalski here in a second, but I just want to point out, I posted this. This is from a book called A Threat from Within, A Century of Jewish Opposition to Zionism. Zionist youth mobilization led to another sharp break, this time with the Pacific self-image of the Jews, whether practicing or non-practicing, and naturally it drew hostile reactions. Albert Einstein was among the Jewish humanists who denounced the Betar youth movement in 1935, describing it as being, quote, as much a danger to our youth as Hitlerism is to the German youth. Let me just go here to a news article from this year in The Guardian. Pro-Israel group says it has deportation list and has sent thousands of names to Trump officials. That is the exact same group, Betar, that Albert Einstein called fascistic. And I will just do a control F here for Fetterman. And let's see what we show. Oh, there it is. After the election, Glick said he met with lawmakers on Capitol Hill, including the Democratic Senator John Fetterman, aides to the Republican senators Ted Cruz and James Lankford, all of whom, he said, supported the efforts. So a group that Einstein called fascistic, coordinating with senators in both parties, is where we're at.